This video leads on from the previous one where we learned about what is meant by elasticity, and in particular we learned about price elasticity of demand. Hopefully now we understand some of the things that can cause demand for a good to be either elastic or inelastic. So we can take this one step further and start looking at what happens when there are shifts in supply. So remember here we're talking about demand, but let's think about demand for ice cream. So let's say that this is a demand curve for ice cream. What happens if ice cream manufacturers start supplying less? Maybe they can't get hold of the ingredients and they're supplying the whole supply curve will shift to the left. What's the impact on this rather inelastic demand curve? This demand curve is steep, it's quite inelastic, isn't it? Well, we can see here that there's been this shift in supply has caused a very big rise in price. Price has increased from P1 to P2. At the same time, there has been a fall in demand from Q1 down to Q2. Not a huge fall, but the big impact is on price, isn't it? Let's put an elastic demand curve on this same diagram. So now D1 is an elastic demand curve, and look at what's happening there. So there's still been a change in the price, but this time the price has gone up not all the way to P2, but just to P3. So a very elastic demand curve, a shift in supply will cause an increase in price, but not such a big increase in price. And there has also been a change in demand, a change in the quantity demanded as well. So elastic demand will see a smaller change in price. Inelastic demand will see a bigger change in price when demand changes, when supply changes. Okay, so why do we really need to know about elasticity? Well, I think one of the most important reasons is, from a business point of view, is that price elasticity of demand has a big impact on how much all consumers spend. And when we talk about total consumer spending, we're also talking about the revenue of a business, aren't we? The total revenue of a business. So if we think about it, the revenue that a business gets comes from the price it charges for its good, multiplied by the quantity of that good that it sells. So knowing the price elasticity of a good helps a business to decide whether it should raise the price or reduce the price. Let's see what that means in practice. So here we have a demand curve, and we can see on this demand curve we have the consumer's total expenditure there. The price is £2. 3 million units of this product are demanded over a period of time. So the total revenue, which is the same as the customer's total expenditure, is £6 million. Okay, let's have a look at the same thing on an elastic demand curve. So in this case, we can see our consumer expenditure when the price is at point A. If price goes up to point B, so price has only gone up from £4 to £5. It's gone up a little bit. See how the total consumer expenditure changes, the total business revenue changes. So what's happened here actually is that although we've put the price up, because demand is so elastic, it has fallen by such a large amount that the business revenue has fallen. So the price has only gone up by £1, but it's caused a 50% fall in demand. See, the demand's gone from 20 million units down to 10 million units, and this in turn has caused a fall in business revenue or total consumer spending. It's the same thing. So if demand for your good is elastic, you don't want to put the price up, because that will actually cut demand so much that you'll end up with less revenue. That's worth knowing, isn't it? We could look at this the other way around though, couldn't we? And we could say that actually, if the price fell from point B to point A, in other words, if the retailer decided to put his price down from £5 to £4, then demand would double and total expenditure and therefore total business revenue would rise. So from a business point of view, if demand for your product is elastic, then the best thing you can do is reduce your price if you possibly can, because that will give you more revenue. Of course, the opposite is true. If demand for your good is inelastic and you put your price up, because demand is inelastic, people will still want to buy the goods. Maybe because like cigarettes they're addictive, maybe because like bread we feel it's a necessity, maybe because like our iPhone we feel there's not a very good substitute. It could be any of those reasons. But with inelastic demand we can put the price up, and this time you can see that demand has only fallen from 20 million units just a little bit down to 15 million units, whereas price has doubled. So in this case, with inelastic demand, total expenditure has risen as the price rises, and therefore the business revenue will rise as the price rises. Of course, again, we can look at that the other way round, and if the price fell from £8 to £4, total spending will fall. So if you're a business and your products have inelastic demand, then you want to put your price up, not down. Okay, we've got through quite a lot. What have we learned in this video? Well, first of all, not all goods react to changes in the market in the same way. We've learned that elasticity measures how responsive demand is, to price in particular. We know there are 4 basic types of elasticity, and we know about price elasticity of demand. We've learned that when the percentage change in demand is greater than the percentage change in price, demand is price elastic, and when it's the other way round, when demand doesn't change very much, demand is price inelastic. We've learned that a number of things determine the price elasticity of demand of a good. Things like substitutes, how much of our income we have to spend, things like time, things like whether it's a necessity or a luxury, and a few others. And finally, and possibly the most important thing to remember in a way, is that the purpose of understanding price elasticity of demand is that it helps businesses to decide whether to raise or to reduce the price of a good in order to increase revenue. Okay, there are a few questions for you to answer now. After that, there will be another video for you to go on to.